The anime kicks off with the protagonist, Seno Natsuru, a male student of Seitsugakuin High School, who unexpectedly gets chosen to become a camphor. As he wakes up from his sleep, he realizes that he has undergone a drastic transformation and turned into a girl. To add to his shock, he discovers that the tiger doll in his room can talk and is there to explain everything to him. The tiger doll clarifies Natsuru's confusion by revealing that he has been selected to become a camphor, and hence he transforms into a girl. Natsuru is stunned to notice that he is wearing a bracelet that he had never seen before. The tiger doll explains that the bracelet is a binding bracelet, and it will trigger his transformation into a camphor's form if it shines. Furthermore, the doll reveals that she is a messenger doll entrusted by the moderator camphor. Despite being in a state of confusion, Natsuru realizes that he is already late for school and rushes to leave. On his way, he bumps into Sakura Kaede, a girl he is fond of. Kaede asks him about the tiger doll that she had lent him, and Natsuru replies that it is fine. He recalls that the doll belonged to Kaede and feels uneasy about it. As Natsuru's binding bracelet kept glowing, he became anxious because it meant that he was about to transform into camphor's form. He didn't want to turn into a girl in front of Kaede, but before he could think of anything, Mishima Akane, another camphor, appeared before him, eager to fight. Despite Natsuru's reluctance, Akane relentlessly attacked him, and he had to defend himself. Just as the situation escalated, Kaede intervened and stopped their fight. However, instead of being intimidated by Natsuru's camphor form, Akane became even more enthusiastic about the prospect of a battle. As the fight continued, a pole collapsed and nearly fell on Akane, but Natsuru acted quickly and protected her. It was then that Akane noticed the blue bracelet on Natsuru's wrist, revealing that he too was a camphor. Impressed by Natsuru's bravery, Akane blushed and ceased her attack. Natsuru's mood in class was somber, and he even dozed off during the lecture. Higashida Mikihito arrived and informed Natsuru that someone was looking for him. Natsuru didn't feel like meeting the person and jokingly told Mikihito to say that he was dead if it was a teacher looking for him. However, Mikihito explained that the person searching for Natsuru was a girl named Akane, leaving him stunned. Natsuru eventually met Akane in the library, where she appeared anxious and apologetic for her behavior during their previous encounter. She confessed that when she turned into camphor, her personality drastically changed. Natsuru was understanding and empathized with her. Akane went on to explain the binding bracelets, and how blue meant friend and red meant foe. She also revealed that she learned about camphors and their weapons from her messenger Black Rabbit doll. The doll explained that there were 3 types of weapons: firearms like Akane's, magic, and swords known as Schwartz. As Akane reached for a German dictionary on the top shelf of the library, Natsuru came to her rescue and helped her retrieve it. However, as they tried to reach for the book, it fell down and Natsuru quickly shielded Akane from the falling books. Though surprised, Akane felt nervous and closed her eyes, making it seem like they were doing something strange. The student council president, Sango Shizuku, caught them in the act and reprimanded them for their inappropriate behavior. Later that day, Natsuru and Akane headed home together, and Natsuru seemed to have reverted to his usual self. On their way home, Kaede approached Natsuru and expressed her desire to thank the person who had helped her before. Natsuru was taken aback, realizing that Kaede was referring to him in his camphor form. The following day, Natsuru confided in Akane about Kaede's desire to thank the person who had helped her, but Akane reacted negatively and warned Natsuru to stay away from Kaede. Her jealousy was apparent, and Natsuru was taken aback. However, things took a dangerous turn when Akane suddenly transformed into her camphor form and pointed her weapon at Natsuru. Natsuru was puzzled because Akane had previously stated that she only transformed when she wanted to fight, or when there were other camphor around. Suddenly, they were both caught off guard when an opposing camphor with the Schwert type appeared and launched an attack. To their surprise, the camphor turned out to be none other than Kaede, who had emerged from behind a bookshelf. Akane was ready to fire her weapon at Kaede, but Natsuru intervened and prevented her from making the shot. Without warning, another Schwert-type camphor appeared, but this time, they concealed their identity. The confusion and chaos of this situation were too much for Kaede, who fainted on the spot. Akane was incensed that the opposing camphor wasn't Kaede, but a mysterious assailant. In response, Natsuru transformed into his camphor form and carried Kaede to the infirmary for female students. He knew that if he wasn't in his camphor mode, he wouldn't be able to enter the restricted area. Later that day, Natsuru recounted the incident to his tiger doll, who explained that camphors often gathered in specific locations. Natsuru was convinced that the previous attack was the tiger puppet's doing, but it was coy about its involvement, revealing that it had been orchestrated by the moderator. The tiger doll was thrilled by the fight and found it exhilarating, but Natsuru was so angry that he threw the puppet in the trash. The following day, Shizuku reached out to Natsuru and Akane to find out about the chaos in the library. Natsuru informed them that they were both present but failed to identify the person responsible for the ruckus. The meeting ended with no solutions in sight. On their way to class, Natsuru and Akane were stopped by Kaede, who inquired if Natsuru had located the girl who saved his life. Natsuru was unsure how to respond to Kaede's question but agreed to meet with her since he had feelings for her. Akane was taken aback by Natsuru's answer. Feeling conflicted, Natsuru invited Akane to his home to seek advice regarding Kaede's request. However, Akane misinterpreted the invitation as a romantic date, and became excited to prepare for it. At Natsuru's home, Akane began to imagine that Natsuru had ulterior motives for inviting her over. However, Natsuru was actually preoccupied with the fact that he had to reveal his camphor side to Kaede the following day. Akane's mood soured, and she responded to Natsuru's inquiries grumpily. She questioned Natsuru's agreement to meet Kaede and wondered why everyone at school was supportive of their relationship. The tiger and black rabbit dolls that had appeared earlier suggested that Natsuru date Kaede, which would undoubtedly make everyone else envious. However, Akane was consumed by jealousy at the thought of Natsuru and Kaede together. The black rabbit doll began suggesting bizarre ideas to Natsuru, much to Akane's dismay, causing her jealousy to intensify. The next day, Natsuru was scheduled to meet with Kaede, who was eager to declare him as her lover after he transformed into camphor mode. However, their plans were quickly interrupted when Shizuku, who had turned into an enemy camphor, appeared and kidnapped Kaede. Natsuru and Akane were forced to engage in a fight with Shizuku until they managed to knock her unconscious. Natsuru then offered a deal to Shizuku, promising to spare her life if she returned Kaede safely. Shizuku, who was desperate to survive, agreed to the terms. In a subsequent meeting, Shizuku revealed that Kaede had been causing chaos in the school by spreading rumors about a mysterious girl, which prompted her to demand that Natsuru reveal his camphor side to put an end to the rumors. Despite his reluctance, Natsuru had no choice but to comply with Shizuku's demands to protect his secret identity. A while later, Natsuru arrived in the girls' classroom area, transformed into his camphor mode. He made his grand entrance and introduced himself to all his classmates. His stunning looks caught everyone's attention, especially the female students who swarmed towards him. Amidst the commotion, Kaede had a hidden agenda. She wanted to have Natsuru all to herself in his camphor form, so she spread a rumor that Shizuku had already claimed him, making sure nobody else would approach him. Her plan worked as she finally had Natsuru to herself, hugging him tightly and confessing her feelings. Suddenly, Natsuru's bracelet began to shine, indicating that reverting back to his male form would be dangerous while Kaede was holding him. In a panic, Natsuru fled to the school roof. As Natsuru retreated to the school rooftop, he was met by Akane in her camphor form, who was clearly upset that he had allowed Kaede to take him away. She warned him that if the binding bracelet shone again, he needed to go to the library immediately. Just then, Nishino Masumi from the news club arrived to interview Natsuru. She explained that he was now the most beautiful girl in school and it was their duty to report on transfer students. Natsuru was still bewildered, unsure why he was being interviewed. Masumi clarified that it was standard procedure for the news club to cover the arrival of new students. In the news club room, Masumi interviewed Natsuru with some personal questions, and he eagerly answered them. Little did he know that moments later, an article about him had spread like wildfire throughout the school, with one detail catching him off guard. The article mentioned that he was a lesbian. Shocked and confused, Natsuru struggled to come to terms with this false claim, but the news quickly spread, drawing all of his fangirls to gather for a fan meeting session where they were required to pay a fee to interact with him. Feeling overwhelmed, Natsuru returned home to find a letter from his childhood friend, Kondo Mikoto, who was currently vacationing in Antigua and Barbuda. Mikoto promised to return soon. The next day at school, Natsuru found himself surrounded by his classmates who informed him that he had a date with his fans in the afternoon. Despite his reluctance, he was forcefully taken away by his classmates until Kaede intervened. She scolded the students for treating Natsuru like a toy, but her words fell on deaf ears. Natsuru had become the school's new female artist, and Kaede's popularity was not enough to stop the students from taking him away. Meanwhile, Shizuka silently watched as Kaede attempted to rescue Natsuru from his fans. Eventually, Kaede managed to take Natsuru to the cafeteria for a chat. However, Their conversation was interrupted by Shizuku, who revealed that Natsuru already had a girlfriend with the same name as him. Kaede was left speechless and saddened, and she quietly left the cafeteria. The news of Natsuru having a girlfriend caused chaos in the cafeteria as the students felt betrayed, realizing that the rumors of him being a lesbian were false. Despite being surrounded by his fangirls, Natsuru suddenly rushed to the library when his bracelet began to glow. Natsuru found solace in the library as he transformed back to his original male form. But his peaceful moment was interrupted by Akane, who accused him of spreading rumors about dating himself in camphor form. Natsuru denied it, explaining that Shizuka had made up the rumor. However, before he could finish, Akane tried to punch him and ended up falling on top of him in a compromising position. Kaede witnessed the scene and misunderstood, thinking that Natsuru was having an affair with Akane. Kaede was angry and vowed to win over the heart of the female Natsuru and get rid of the male one. Natsuru returned to class, feeling down and contemplating what Kaede had said. Suddenly, Mikihito burst into the classroom, announcing that a cultural festival was coming up, and boys and girls could mingle freely. The festival would feature a beauty pageant, with Natsuru as the star. Confused, Natsuru questioned why he was the star, considering he was a boy. Mikihito clarified that female Natsuru that would be representing. As the night fell, Natsuru found himself in his room with his two dolls, a tiger and a black rabbit. The dolls couldn't help but burst into laughter when they learned that Natsuru was planning to participate in a beauty contest. Feeling embarrassed and frustrated, Natsuru impulsively threw the dolls across the room. Akane, who happened to be there, asked if Natsuru was really going to compete in the school beauty pageant. With a hint of resignation, Natsuru replied that he had no other choice and would have to use his camphor mode for the competition. Despite feeling hesitant about the whole thing, they all agreed to help Natsuru prepare for the contest, starting with selecting the perfect underwear and costume for his performance. The following day, Akane met with Natsuru to go shopping for underwear. However, she was disappointed to see Natsuru in camphor mode, hoping to spend time with the male version of Natsuru. Suddenly, Shizuku appeared and offered to help Natsuru pick out his underwear. Akane then dragged Natsuru into the dressing room to avoid any teasing from Shizuku. But to their surprise, Shizuku followed them into the dressing room to lend a hand. After the shopping spree, they headed to a karaoke place to help Natsuru prepare for the upcoming beauty pageant. Soon, Kaede arrived at the karaoke place and insisted on singing a duet with Natsuru. Akane and Shizuku also wanted to sing with him and asked who he would choose. However, Natsuru found himself in a dilemma, especially since Kaede was also competing in the beauty pageant and planned to confess her feelings for him on stage. To make matters worse, Akane decided to join the beauty pageant too, not wanting to be outdone by Kaede. Shizuku, as the student council president, didn't help the situation either and also decided to compete. Natsuru was caught in the middle of a chaotic situation as the girls fought over him, leaving him feeling uncomfortable at the karaoke place. The day before the beauty contest, Natsuru and Akane promoted themselves by selling their photos in class. Their classmates provided costumes for their photo shoot, and Natsuru and Akane posed in various styles. However, Natsuru seemed exhausted from being tricked by their classmates, and quickly left after the photo shoot ended. While walking down the street, Natsuru, in male mode, ran into Kaede. He decided to improve their relationship by asking how she was preparing for the cultural festival. Kaede remained silent, still wondering why Akane kept her away from Natsuru. Natsuru explained that he was a fashion girl and not a lesbian, and that was why Akane kept Kaede away from female Natsuru. Kaede suspected that Akane had feelings for Natsuru, but he reassured her that they were just friends. The following day was the much-awaited school culture festival, and the students were eager to partake in the festivities. Natsuru, in camphor mode, made his way to the women's locker room to change into his festival attire, only to stumble upon the breathtakingly beautiful Kaede in her dress. As Natsuru laid eyes on her, he couldn't help but imagine himself as his male form, standing next to Kaede. As they were about to strike up a conversation, their interaction was abruptly halted by Akane. Kaede was clearly annoyed but didn't want to create a scene and went on her way. Soon after, the contest kicked off, with Natsuru being the first contestant to take the stage. He dressed up as a female warrior from Uranus, who was also a revolution supporter. Despite being in a male costume, Natsuru was still able to capture the hearts of the female audience with his charming and captivating performance. Matsumi, who was the host of the school culture festival, then approached Natsuru and asked him about the performance he was about to give. Natsuru was supposed to perform an impressive show on stage, but he was unsure what to do since he was forbidden from using his fire. He felt lost and didn't have any skills to show. Luckily, Kaede offered to help by performing a romantic drama with him, even going as far as kissing him in front of the audience. The spectators were thrilled and eagerly waited for the romantic scene to unfold. However, the drama was cut short when Akane suddenly attacked Kaede on stage, and Shizuku also appeared to attack the three contestants. The romantic scene was a failure, and the cultural festival came to an abrupt end. Later on, Natsuru returned to his male mode and found himself in the student council president's room. Shizuku informed him that she had changed his clothes and even kissed him, which left Natsuru in shock. Shizuku made him promise to keep it a secret from Akane since she could pose a threat to his safety if she found out. Natsuru was surprised to find Mikoto at his home, dressed in a revealing costume. She woke him up to try her homemade curry before the two of them headed off to school. While on their way, Akane caught Natsuru walking with Mikoto and approached them to ask who she was. Mikoto introduced herself, and much to Natsuru's surprise, Akane and Mikoto already knew each other. As their conversation continued, Natsuru's binding bracelet suddenly glowed, and he transformed into his female mode. Upon arriving at school, Natsuru found himself coerced into being a cafe waiter for the second day of the cultural festival. His classmates forced customers to pay to be served by him. As he served a special guest, Natsuru was shocked to find out that it was none other than Shizuku. He was tasked to serve her with utmost care since she was a high-paying customer. During their encounter, Shizuku warned Natsuru to stay on high alert since a new camphor would soon emerge. She hinted that the new camphor could either be a friend or a foe. Shizuku also revealed that Kaede would be the second special guest that Natsuru would serve. After spotting Natsuru in a maid costume, Kaede couldn't contain her excitement and approached him with admiration. Shizuku, who was with them, encouraged Kaede to ask Natsuru for anything she wanted. Without thinking, Kaede requested a kiss, but Natsuru, being shy, declined. However, Kaede was determined and proposed that they spend the day together, to which Natsuru agreed. They had a blast at the cultural festival, indulging in games and ice cream. But their fun was cut short when they entered a haunted house, and Natsuru sensed danger. As they walked down a hallway, they were confronted by a new camphor, as Shizuku had predicted. During the fight, Natsuru engaged in a fierce battle with a formidable camphor. Just when he was about to be struck by the camphor's sword, Akane arrived and intervened, escalating the intensity of the fight. As the dust settled, Natsuru recognized his opponent as Mikoto, who was surprised that he knew her name. Despite her shock, Mikoto continued her brutal attack on Natsuru and Akane. It was only when Shizuku intervened that the fight came to an end, and they all returned to their original form. Afterwards, Natsuru realized that he had left Kaede alone and went to apologize. To make it up to her, he offered to fulfill any request she had, and she chose to have dinner with female Natsuru. Natsuru was getting ready to meet Kaede and eagerly awaited his transformation back into camphor mode. Soon after, Akane and Shizuku arrived, and Shizuku announced that they would all be joining Kaede for dinner at her house. Excited to see Kaede, they made their way to her home. Upon arriving, Kaede invited them inside, and Natsuru was surprised to see her extensive collection of Zamatsu dolls. They played games and snacked on treats, with Kaede eagerly hoping to share a snack stick with Natsuru. However, she was disappointed when Akane ended up sharing the snack with him instead. The scene was set as Mikoto surprised her friends with a homemade curry, and while they were enjoying their meal, Shizuku accidentally spilled the curry on Natsuru's hair. As a result, Natsuru had to take a bath at Kaede's house. However, things started to get interesting when Kaede couldn't resist sneaking a peek at Natsuru's body while he was getting ready to take a bath. When Akane found out about Kaede's intentions, they got into an argument. Meanwhile, Mikoto, who was always curious about Natsuru's body, transformed into camphor mode and barged into the bathroom, surprising everyone. Later that evening, after everyone had finished bathing and was getting ready for bed, Kaede snuck into Natsuru's bed and started to stroke his back. However, Natsuru was in a state of panic, knowing that he couldn't reveal his male form in front of Kaede. The situation quickly escalated when Akane showed up in camphor mode and demanded that Kaede move away from Natsuru. Akane fired several shots, causing Kaede to faint. Natsuru was terrified and hid because he knew how scary Akane could be in camphor mode. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from the roof, and a new camphor named Ueda Rika appeared. Rika was wearing a white bracelet, and both Akane and Natsuru attacked her simultaneously. As Rika was about to retaliate, her attack was stopped by Shizuku, who revealed that Rika had the same weapon as her. Rika felt that the fight was no longer interesting, and she decided to leave immediately. Feeling guilty for Kaede, Natsuru decided to keep her company while she was unconscious. Shizuka later entered the room and asked what was going on. Natsuru lied and said that nothing was happening between him and Kaede before the fight broke out. Shizuka was relieved to hear this. The next day, Shizuka surprised Natsuru by inviting him, in male form, to meet her on the school roof. Natsuru was confused by her sudden invitation but quickly realized that she wanted to lure Rika out. Natsuru was eager to fight Rika, so he couldn't refuse Shizuka's invitation. A few days later, Shizuka was busy preparing for a date, and her white doll was curious about what was going on. Shizuka told the doll that it didn't need to know because its only job was to take care of the house while she was out. Meanwhile, Natsuru was waiting for Shizuka to arrive. When she showed up, she took Natsuru by the hand, which made him uncomfortable. Shizuka explained that it was all just a pretense to lure Rika out. But in reality, Shizuka had lied about her intentions, and she actually wanted to be intimate with Natsuru. As they arrived at the zoo, Shizuka had prepared lunch for both of them. After finishing their meal, Shizuka asked Natsuru why he liked Kaede. Natsuru responded that he had no particular reason to like her, which left Shizuka feeling jealous and silent. On their way back, Shizuka held Natsuru's hand again, but he only saw it as a way to provoke Rika's arrival. Suddenly, Mikoto appeared and attacked Natsuru, believing that he was lying about his feelings for Kaede. Natsuru explained that he was only dating Shizuka to lure Rika out. But Shizuka refused to clarify things and said she was happy dating Natsuru. Mikoto was surprised by Shizuka's statement, feeling betrayed by Natsuru's deception. She decided to leave while giving him one final blow. Back at home, Natsuru confided in his tiger doll about his current situation. Surrounded by beautiful girls, he couldn't understand why they were all upset with him. His tiger doll just laughed at the situation. Suddenly, Akane arrived and transformed into Camphor, angry that Natsuru had gone on a date with Shizuka without telling her. She beat him up and demanded that he date her during summer vacation. Natsuru couldn't refuse her request. Meanwhile, Mikoto was crying in her room because she was jealous of Natsuru dating Shizuku. Natsuru was completely unaware of the girl's feelings towards him, and the tiger doll could only smile at his cluelessness. During summer vacation, Natsuru was spotted on a date with Akane, as they went to the beach and stayed at a hotel. While walking towards the beach, the other girls suddenly appeared, surprising Kaede since she had never seen Natsuru in his girl form. At the beach, all the girls tried to mesmerize Natsuru by wearing bikinis, but he only had eyes for Kaede. He complimented her bikini, but she was only interested in Natsuru's female form, so she just smiled. During the beach outing, Akane and Shizuka both clung to Natsuru while Kaede, unaware that Natsuru is actually a female when transformed, encouraged him to make out with the girls. As some pretty girls greeted Kaede, she just smiled back. Suddenly, Natsuru transformed into camphor mode, and Kaede was thrilled to see the person she had been waiting for in front of her. Kaede then asked the female Natsuru to teach her how to swim, while Akane and Shizuku, not wanting to be left out, also asked Natsuru for lessons. After a refreshing swim, Natsuru, who was currently in female form, went to grab some food. Suddenly he found himself surrounded by a group of Kämpfers carrying white flags. The three opposing Kämpfers introduced themselves and launched an attack on Natsuru. Sayaka with her stunning yellow hair, Masumi with her navy blue hair, and Hitomi with her vibrant green hair were their names. Natsuru remembered seeing them earlier, greeting Kaede at the beach. Confused by their sudden attack, Natsuru asked for an explanation. Hitomi explained that they were simply following the rules set by the moderator to avoid any misunderstandings in the upcoming battle between the Kämpfers. As Natsuru and Akane were fighting off their opponents, Akane complained about Natsuru's inability to fend off the attackers. Just when things were getting heated, Shizuku arrived on the scene. The opposing Kämpfers were intimidated by her presence and quickly fled from Natsuru's group, leaving them unharmed. Later on, while Natsuru was resting in his room, he received a surprise invitation from Mikoto to join her in the ladies' room. Shizuku, who was also present, couldn't resist teasing Natsuru by confessing her love for him, and even going so far as to kiss him. To Natsuru's dismay, Shizuku announced to the room that she and Natsuru were dating. Despite Natsuru's objections, Shizuku laughed it off, insisting that it was a one-sided love. Mikoto, who was infuriated by the revelation, launched an attack on Natsuru. In an effort to calm Mikoto down, Akane was called upon, but she had fainted from jealousy. Kaede, on the other hand, seemed pleased with the sudden closeness between Shizuku and Natsuru, and inquired about the whereabouts of female Natsuru. Shizuku assured Kaede that female Natsuru would arrive soon, while Mikoto tended to Akane, who was still passed out. In the midst of all the chaos, Kaede suddenly whisked Natsuru away to watch the fireworks. Natsuru couldn't help but feel both nervous and elated at the same time. However, things took a turn for the worse when Kaede revealed her true intentions. She demanded that Natsuru fall in love with Shizuku and avoid getting in her way because she was too smart and strong. To Natsuru's surprise, Kaede hypnotized him to love Shizuku. He was left feeling bewildered and conflicted by her words. Meanwhile, Shizuku and the others were frantic as they searched for Kaede and Natsuru. Mikoto, still upset, transformed into camphor mode and pursued Natsuru for leaving without informing anyone. Akane also threw a tantrum at Natsuru for going off alone with Kaede. Finally, Shizuku arrived and launched an attack on Natsuru. Kaede explained the problem to Natsuru and his friends before they returned to Natsuru's room. While in the room, Shizuku urgently called Natsuru to come to the women's bath. Natsuru transformed into camphor mode and joined the girls for a bath, although he felt uneasy being surrounded by them. When Shizuku asked if Natsuru had done anything with Kaede during their previous outing, he couldn't recall. Kaede then approached Natsuru in female mode and instructed him to sleep with Shizuku. Natsuru changed back to his original mode before complying with Kaede's request. Shizuku was happy that Natsuru was willing to sleep with her but became angry when she found out it was under Kaede's coercion. She stormed out of the room, leaving Natsuru behind. Meanwhile, Kaede and her friends were disappointed that Natsuru had failed to sleep with Shizuku. As their vacation came to an end, they headed home. Akane asked Natsuru why he had fainted the previous night, but Natsuru had no recollection. Later, Kaede and Shizuku approached them, and Kaede whispered to Shizuku about why she had not slept with Natsuru, revealing that Shizuku was pretending to reject him. This left Shizuku suspicious of Kaede's true motives. One day, Shizuku invited Natsuru to her house, where he saw a black lion doll. Shizuku explained that it had been taken from Kaede's house, and could explain why they all became Kämpfers. The doll revealed that the Kämpfers had to fight to prevent the moderator from getting into trouble, as they were chosen to be the Kämpfers. Natsuru was angry that they were being forced to fight for the moderator's sake. Shizuku disclosed that Kaede was in contact with the moderator. Shortly after, Shizuku brought Natsuru to her room to try to restore his lost memory by kissing him. She revealed that she had challenged the moderator and sought Natsuru's help in avenging the death of her senior Tamiko, who was defeated by the blue camphor. Natsuru later visited Kaede's house to verify the information. To his surprise, he found out that Kaede was a camphor, and she hypnotized him to follow her every command. Kaede then changed Natsuru to female mode and ordered him to fight and defeat all of his friends. Under Kaede's hypnotic spell, Natsuru gathered his friends on the rooftop for a fight. Shizuku and the others were surprised when Natsuru attacked them as a white camphor, but they managed to defeat him. However, Kaede attacked them brutally, and they all ended up fainting from her attack. When Kaede ordered Natsuru to kill Shizuku first, he suddenly remembered his memories with his friends and chose to return with them. Shizuku, Mikoto, and Akane leveled up and became stronger, while Kaede and her friends decided to leave. However, after they left, Natsuru was attacked by his three friends for not resisting Kaede's hypnotic kiss. Overwhelmed by their treatment of him, Natsuru could only resign himself to their teasing. Despite this, he refused to join Kaede's group and chose to stay with his friends. Meanwhile, among the messenger dolls, rumors were swirling about Natsuru's daily teasing by his female friends. To his surprise, the next day Natsuru found himself in the body of a tiger doll, while the tiger's soul inhabited his own body. The tiger dolls jumped at the chance to enjoy life as humans, changing their clothes and indulging in a meat feast with their fellow messenger dolls whose souls had also swapped. They reveled in the experience, but Natsuru and his friends were less enthusiastic about the soul transfer. At the restaurant, the dolls who had finished eating were stunned to find themselves without money to pay the bill. The waiters, unsympathetic to their plight, demanded that the four girls perform on the festival stage as payment. The audience, consisting of the messenger dolls, eagerly awaited the show. The girls, dancing and singing with provocative moves, displayed their alluring bodies to the excitement of the onlookers. But Kaede sensed something was amiss with Natsuru and his friends and intervened, rescuing them from the stage. She couldn't help but notice that they seemed different from their usual selves. Sometime later, the messenger dolls visited an amusement park and were thrilled to experience the joy of human life, something they had missed as mere puppets. Their excitement heightened when they came across an attraction tent created by Mikihito, with Kaede as the coveted prize. In the game, the dolls had to compete to touch Kaede, and when Akane won and kissed her, Kaede sensed something strange and quickly left to pray. Later, a dark woman appeared and urged Kaede to repent by working hard. Despite feeling tormented and exhausted from working as a shopkeeper, cashier, and cleaning service every day, Kaede realized her friends were behind these scenarios to make her repent. One day, four messenger dolls, still in human form, appeared to rescue Kaede from the dark woman. But they ended up getting into a fight and thoroughly enjoying it, much to the dismay of Kaede's friend, who had disguised herself as the dark woman. This prompted Kaede to invite her friends to leave with her. As the anime draws to a close, the messenger dolls prepare to return to their puppet forms while at Kaede's house. They bid farewell to Kaede, who had cared for and loved them. The dolls tell Kaede that she can visit them in their world before their souls depart on Santa Claus's train. Overcome with emotion, Kaede weeps as she watches her beloved dolls leave. The anime imparts a crucial lesson about the danger of enemies disguised as friends. They can exploit their opponent's weaknesses with great precision, making them especially treacherous.